The Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference is coming to Dallas, Texas, February 16, 17, and 18 in 2018. If you know of a better way to get the latest insider knowledge about crypto, to hear directly from the top minds in this field, to interact personally with 800 fellow crypto lovers, hodlers, investors, miners, traders, developers, and founders, then I'd like to hear about it. If you don't, then you don't want to miss out. Register today for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference. Go to bitcoinsuperconference.com and register today as a super early bird to get the lowest rates on tickets and hotel rooms. That's bitcoinsuperconference.com.
Welcome to Almost Here, Round the Corner Future Technology podcast with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies poised to transform our lives for better or worse are the focus of this podcast. Almost Here means these technologies are now here and starting to be used, or just around the corner, from Bitcoin to artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Future Tech Podcast. My name is Josh Thomas, and I'm here with Troy Mihalek and Ryan Faust of Cryptovice. Hello guys, how you doing?
Great. Hey Josh.
Excellent. So tell me a little bit about Cryptovice. It's an online resource for crypto news and information. What's going on there?
I'll take it, Troy. So we're at different lines right now, little technical difficulties, but I'll go ahead and answer that. So Cryptovice, like you said, online resource for everything cryptocurrency news, information. We're in the process right now. We've taken a lot of feedback from some of our subscribers, and we're in the process of kind of revamping the site to make it even better. We're going to focus a little bit more on some additional altcoins in the future, and really getting into the nitty-gritty of the questions that our users are asking.
So what kinds of questions are your users asking right now?
Yeah, I was just going to say that one of the things that I think is really important for the Cryptovice community, if you will, is understanding the basics, and that's what Cryptovice was created to do. There's a lot of information out there, and it's really difficult to kind of sift through all of that information. So we want to be that one-stop shop for really the beginners who are just starting out in the industry. And so simple questions like, how do I sign up on a Coinbase account, or how do I buy Bitcoin and sell Bitcoin, or what exchange do I go to that's most credible and reputable in the industry that I can purchase altcoins, or where do I find physical Bitcoins? Things like that. Those basic answers are some of the most common questions. I would say those basic questions are some of the most common questions that we see. And so we really try to make our website and our YouTube channel as accommodating as possible to those types of questions.
What's interesting about that is the answers to those questions sometimes are a moving target.
They are.
That's true.
I would agree.
Which exchange is reputable and isn't going to crash on you? Well, what day is it?
Right.
Who knows? It's definitely a much needed service, and it's aptly named Cryptovice. When a vice is an excessive behavior that is typically an indulgence and not always 100% healthy for you. And as you get into this and you start seeing the opportunities and you're looking into buying, selling, trading altcoins, you find yourself sitting on Binance until 3 a.m., waiting for the exact right time to buy that coin. And it really does become a vice, doesn't it, guys?
I would somewhat agree with that statement. So, kind of the name, it's funny, when we came up with the name Cryptovice, this is obviously what we talked about, right? Are people going to view it as like a negative? Is it a vice where you're sitting on the computer till 3 a.m., watching the candles go up and down? We're starting to spin it a little bit more as the advice, right? The crypto advice. But yeah, no, we see both sides to it, and we really try to identify those things to our users, right? Some of the past mistakes that we've made in those situations. You're not going to change anything by staring at the charts, focusing all of your energy on that, and getting in a negative mindset. We try to give them a good long-term perspective on kind of the markets as a whole, eliminate some of the FUD, so that some of those negative behaviors maybe minimize or go away eventually.
And one of our unofficial slogans is advice for your vice, because it can be a vice, to your point, Josh, but I think Ryan hit it on the head, and that's really where we're trying to gravitate towards, is the advice aspect, so that we are that one-stop resource to help people navigate through this really crazy world of cryptocurrency. And that's why we're, on our YouTube channel, we're putting up videos that really kind of align to the investing aspect of it, but also focus on the Bitcoin basics and like I mentioned earlier, the physical Bitcoin as well. So we try to, have a rounded approach to it.
Very good. And so your pedigree, Ryan, you used to own an internet marketing company. So tell me a little bit about how you transitioned from that into the crypto space.
Sure. Yeah. So my pretty much entire professional background has been in internet marketing. I mentioned to you briefly before, my niche was we worked with a lot of large HVAC companies, right? So we didn't deal with necessarily like that's a bad example. Let me rewind for just a second. Yeah. So in the internet marketing space, I guess the way that it helped me kind of transition into crypto was really from a search engine optimization perspective. So we would optimize a lot of websites for our customers. Troy and I got into the physical aspect of cryptocurrency, the collecting of the Cassatius and the Leolana. And one of the first initiatives of Cryptovice was to get, different pages of our website found on the search engines for people that were looking to buy those physical crypto coins. So that was kind of my first foray, I guess, where internet marketing and cryptocurrency could have crossed paths.
Okay. And so you were leveraging the skills that you already had and transferring them over to this new industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so Troy, do you have a similar background here? I know that you and Ryan have known each other for a long time.
Yeah, Ryan and I go back to our childhood days, actually, but we've kept a pretty decent relationship through high school and college and beyond. And my exposure to cryptocurrency really came from when I worked at a financial institution. I was in the fraud department, and this is back in 2010. And the concept of, or the idea of Bitcoin kind of came around because in a lot of it was used at the time for some fraudulent transactions. So I heard about it when it was less than a quarter per Bitcoin. Didn't think anything about it, and then a couple of years later, when Coinbase came out, I decided to make a little bit of an investment. But back then, things were really kind of sketchy from a third-party standpoint as far as investing in this really unknown coin. And if you weren't mining it, then the investment was pretty risky. And so I kind of laid off of it for a few years. And Ryan and I obviously have kept in touch, and we've been friends for a while, like I'd mentioned. So we got to talking back in like 2014-ish, and then kind of reignited that discussion back in 2016 to really get a lot more ingrained in the cryptocurrency space. And then summer of last year is when we started Cryptovice. So it's kind of been, a multi-stage evolution of where we stand today. And as the industry has materialized and matured, we've gotten more and more into it. And I think, last year was really the catalyst of where we stand today.
Okay. And what do you see? It's obviously there is a huge barrier to entry right now for investing. Me personally, I spoke with my accountant, and she was asking about getting into crypto. I want to start investing, and she knows a lot about numbers, and she's a stock trader, but doesn't know anything about crypto. And so I got on the phone and I walked her through, how to set up a Coinbase account and talked about some different exchanges. And there was a very, very steep learning curve, I realized, for those of us out there who aren't heavily involved in this thing every single day. It's quite difficult to actually get that first step and buy that first piece of cryptocurrency. What have you seen as the biggest challenges and educating the general public on this and getting them on board?
Yeah, I think you're right. There is a little bit of a barrier to entry, but at the same time, companies like Coinbase and Kraken and Gemini even have made it relatively easy. And I mentioned to you in the story before when in 2013 when I first invested, Coinbase is brand new, and you talk about some barriers to entry. It was really sketchy, and that's the only word I can use because no one knew about it. Now we have 5 years plus of really good, credible resources, investments, businesses, people, advisors, etc., who have validated and provided credibility to the space. So as a result of that, I think the barrier to entry or the ease of purchasing and getting skin in the game, if you will, has become much easier over the years. But as because it's such a foreign industry, I think that's exactly why Cryptovice is in existence. We get calls and emails all the time from people who are looking to get into this business and how to sign up to a Coinbase account. And I would say as long as you're able to walk them through the steps, and we create videos walking through the steps, then it can be a pretty easy it can be a pretty easy registration.
If I could just elaborate, I agree that it's, I'll tell you kind of a personal experience of mine. So I agree that it is pretty easy for somebody to join Coinbase and sign up for an account and put in their bank account information. That has absolutely gotten easier over the last couple years. But here's something that I think is real interesting. So Troy, I told you about my friend's dad, right, who reached out, said, hey, you got to help me do this. I can't do it. I go meet with this guy, and he pulls out a huge wad of cash as if he's going to hand me cash, and I'm going to, give him Bitcoin. So there is a huge kind of mental, I guess, barrier there on how this works. But here's what happened kind of after this. So we get this gentleman set up, and he's a high net worth individual, and Coinbase gives him, I believe it was a $500 weekly limit on the amount of Bitcoin that he could buy. So that's a well-known kind of issue that everybody's experiencing. But when you talk about the roadblocks to onboarding, that's it. Like, there are so few exchanges to actually get money into the game for people right now that when those become available, I think things are going to change dramatically.
Agreed, and it's already starting to tip. Depending on who you talk to, some say we've already reached the early majority. Some say that that's still 6 months off. So it's all a matter of perspective. But you can definitely see from 12 months ago, from today we're in early January as we're recording this, 2018. Early January 2017 was a totally different landscape, and you can definitely see it starting to tip towards a larger scale adoption. Would you agree, guys?
Absolutely. Yep.
I'm going to wrap up here in a minute, but I wanted to ask each of you, what is your opinion on the future of this industry? What's going to happen in 2018 as far as cryptocurrency, and what's going to happen specifically in your space as far as educating the general public on this?
I think I'll start. I think ultimately 2018. I think 2017 was a massive year. Obviously, people can't deny that. 2018, there's going to be a lot of continued growth and great momentum. However, I think there's also going to be a lot of barriers and speed bumps that Bitcoin, the crypto community, is going to have to get over. And ultimately, I definitely feel like 2018 is going to be just as good or better than 2017. However, no one truly knows. There's a lot of, again, momentum and positivity around that statement, and a lot of people would agree. So ultimately, we've got a great foundation moving into 2018. What I would say about the educational standpoint is that there's more and more people. So you mentioned earlier about the base of people, knowing about the industry, and the silent majority is becoming less silent. I think that is going to continue, and more people are going to be using, Coinbase and some of these other exchanges to get into the game, and they're going to need that basic education and that basic understanding of not only what cryptocurrency is, but really how it works. It's not just an investment tool, but it's also a utilitarian tool that can be used to purchase things. And why is it not a scam that, like everyone is saying, or all the skeptics are saying it's a scam, a fraud, or a Ponzi scheme? Answering those questions and really understanding what you're investing in, I think, is kind of the next step of this journey. And that's where companies and websites and advisors like Cryptovice come into play.
I was just say I agree with all of that. My two predictions for 2018, I think the big story is going to be decentralized exchanges. So just to kind of throw that out there, I feel like something's going to happen with some kind of major exchange, and people are going to want to distribute their money as well. So I think that'll be the big thing. And then, like everybody else says, privacy coins. I think those are going to be a huge story here in the next year. But everything else Troy said with the education, it's still new. Teaching people the basic questions and then getting a little bit deeper into the things. What is Bitcoin actually backed by? Those type of questions I think are very important to help answer.
Well said. And so for those in our audience who want to learn more about Cryptovice, where can they go?
Our website is cryptovice.com. You can also check out our YouTube channel, which just search Cryptovice. We have several videos online, and again, it's broken up into 3 segments: investing in cryptocurrency, physical Bitcoin revealed, and Bitcoin basics. And we also have some, Ryan also put some videos up on search engine optimization and how to really search, the trends of the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency industries. And then we're also on Twitter, so you can follow us at Cryptovice1.
Okay, excellent. Troy Mihalek, Ryan Faust from Cryptovice.com. Thanks very much for joining us. And thanks to our audience here. We'll see you next time on the Future Tech Podcast.
The Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference is coming to Dallas, Texas, February 16, 17, and 18 in 2018. If you know of a better way to get the latest insider knowledge about crypto, to hear directly from the top minds in this field, to interact personally with 800 fellow crypto lovers, hodlers, investors, miners, traders, developers, and founders, then I'd like to hear about it. If you don't, then you don't want to miss out. Register today for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference. Go to bitcoinsuperconference.com and register today as a super early bird to get the lowest rates on tickets and hotel rooms. That's bitcoinsuperconference.com.
You have been listening to Almost Here, Around the Corner Future Technology podcast with Richard Jacobs. Subscribe to this podcast, post a review to discover more future technologies that are poised to transform our lives for better or worse, such as Bitcoin, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.